Hey guys, welcome to Sportitude. Today we have got an exciting announcement. As you know, we've been doing shoe reviews now for a number of years. We've reviewed dozens and dozens of shoes, race shoes, stability shoes, max cushion shoes, trail shoes, road shoes. We've done it all. But we wanted to take our review game to the next level, and we wanted to take a deeper dive look at midsole technologies and upper technologies. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to start cutting shoes in half. So to kick off this new series, we thought we'd take a look at the stability category of running shoes. So three of the more popular stability shoes are the Asics Gel Kayano 30, this little guy here, the new Balance Vongo version 6, and the Brooks Glycerin GTS 21. So all three shoes are talking to the same consumer, someone looking for some cushioning under the body but requiring assistance on that medial side for some arch support. So before we go and cut these up, we need to grab the bandsaw. So let's get stuck in. So the first of the three is going to be the Kayano 30. Now I have cut the other half of this shoe up when I did a Kayano 29 versus 30 comparison. But today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be cutting each and every one of these shoes in roughly the same place. So right through the centerpiece of this midsole through here. So then we can open it up and take a look at exactly how Asics executed their support system using that four-dimensional guidance technology in conjunction with their Flight Foam Blast Plus cushioning system. They have executed a very stable shoe, but that's obviously an outcome of what people have said about this shoe, and let's get in and find out what's going on inside this midsole. So off the back of what Asics executed with Kayano 30, we're really excited to see what New Balance were going to do with Vongo version 6. Significant change from V5 to V6 with two different layers of fresh foam X cushioning system, the top layer being softer, the bottom layer being firmer with a full length EVA plate on a bit of a cambered angle. So what we hope to achieve with sawing this shoe in half right through this piece through here is understand the difference in regards to the height of that plate on the medial side in comparison to the lateral side, and see exactly how New Balance have executed that arch support within Vongo version 6. Last but not least, Brooks Glycerin GTS 20. So Brooks have had their guide rail technology now for roughly 4 to 5 years. It's been very popular. It was quite controversial when it first launched because it was a whole new take on providing arch support without being intrusive. So again, they've kept that theme going from one model to the next. With the Glycerin GTS 20, we have the DNA Loft cushioning system, which is that nitrogen-infused foam, in conjunction with that guide rail technology on the medial and also the back half of that lateral side. So again, like the other two shoes, we're going to saw this through the center through here, open it up and understand exactly how that guide rail technology provides support for mild overpronators. As you can see in front of me, all three shoes cut in half to identify what each and every brand has done with the execution of their support structure. Great thing is these are three very popular, very comfortable, extremely high performing shoes within their category, and it is rather interesting to see how they have executed that support system across the three different models. Now, every brand is trying to achieve the optimal outcome of performance and comfort, and it's great to see the variability within this space. So let's get stuck into the how. We know the why, and we're going to do that upstairs in our studio. So follow me upstairs. Okay, so here we are upstairs in our studio, 24 hours actually after we did our dissection downstairs in the Run DNA rooms. Now, after cutting these shoes up yesterday, we passed it around our team members downstairs. It was really exciting actually, because we got some interesting conversations going, to say the least. I mean, we know shoes pretty well here at Sportitude Running, but it certainly started a lot of conversations and asked a lot of questions that we hadn't even considered. I mean, for starters, the three shoes we decided to cut up, technically speaking, are talking to the exact same consumer. So I want to highlight that first. So if someone does come in looking for a Glycerin GTS, we're probably going to throw a Vongo or a Kayano into the conversation, and vice versa with the other two shoes as well. So realistically, both or all three, pardon me, are talking to that same runner, and we just want to come back and discuss that really quickly as well. This category exists purely to cater for the runner who's looking for cushioning, is going to be spending plenty of time out on the road, and is requiring or seeking for some form of additional comfort in the way of medial support. So that's a long sentence to get through, but every single shoe here has executed that arch support, and what we're going to do is take that deep dive look at them, analyze it a little bit further, and hopefully give you the information that you either need at home or have been searching for to help your shoe selection going forward. So what I'll do is I'm literally just going to go through every single shoe, and we'll start from my left and go to my right and talk about every single model and discuss their support features. Okay, first and foremost is the Vongo. Now, I have done a review on this shoe, link is in the description below, but this shoe here has had a significant update from last season, Vongo 5. So with the support structure, New Balance spent a good 2.5 years with regards to testing, prototyping, and becoming so confident in their final product that they released Vongo version 6. So I'm just splitting the two here, so the forefoot in my left hand and obviously the rear of the foot in my right hand. You can see that the plate itself is on a significant camber, so I'll just hold the rear of the shoe first. So what I'm talking about there is the plate starts lower on the lateral side, and as you can see, it trends up with a little bit of a gap through here, and then meets that medial wall, which is higher and closer to the foot. Now, this little gap through here, New Balance have used in their plated construction a honeycomb technology. So the actual plate itself isn't full width from the medial to the lateral side, from the heel, midfoot, and forefoot. They've actually got a number of cutouts through this plate that is more focused on the lateral side. So the lateral side of this shoe has a couple of cutouts in towards the rear of the shoe, comes through to the forefoot, and they do introduce a couple of extra hollow honeycomb sort of cutaways in that forefoot, but still keeping that medial side relatively stiff, because this shoe is a supportive shoe and you need to give that first metatarsal a bit of rigidity and stiffness underneath with regards to your exit and toe off. So it's really unique way to execute that plate. But the way they have offered the support is, as I've touched on, it's the plate comes lower to the lateral side because the two different densities of cushioning system, the density on top is significantly softer. The Fresh Foam X cushioning system from New Balance is very soft, about 5 durometer points difference between the top layer and the bottom layer, and the bottom layer being firmer. So if you think about the foot, when it lands in this shoe on the lateral side, you're going to get the compression with more of that cushion foam, but then as you transition across to the medial side, that softer foam does camber away ever so slightly, and the firmer foam creeps up closer to the arch. Therefore, what New Balance have addressed is they're not going to reduce the range of movement per se. They're trying to slow down the pronation velocity by landing using a softer foam, transitioning to a cambered firmer foam approach with that plate construction to offer the pronation support that this runner is seeking. Also to mention, I should say, there's this plate through the forefoot does offer that rigidity that we've seen plated constructions, not only in carbon plate racing shoes, but we've seen different varieties of plates being used in different sort of categories of performance shoes over the last 5 years. But this just offers that forefoot a bit of extra rigidity and support too. So you can relax into that forefoot being a nice sort of in a steady running sense, or you're going out in your easy days, you can relax into this shoe and release out of your forefoot with pure comfort. It is a very, very well executed shoe with regards to the arch support or the support system for pronators. Want to call out one thing. We have successfully fitted a few neutral runners in the Vongo, and they have been very comfortable. Now, why did we put the Vongo on their foot? They like the weight, they like the cushioning system. They didn't quite get along with the 1080 in our fitting rooms downstairs. They found it a little bit too flexible through the forefoot. So we put our thinking hats on, introduced the Vongo for a couple of runners, and they really liked it. So it's not going to overcomplicate or contradict what we're trying to achieve. If you are a neutral runner, you can still use it, but if you do come across that medial side, how New Balance have executed their support structure is, in my opinion, very much on point. They've done a great job. Okay, in my hand, I hold the Brooks Glycerin GTS. Okay, cushioning system, we have the DNA Loft version 3, nitrogen-infused foam. It's probably the firmest of the three shoes with regards to the compression rate within this midsole. However, it is still classified a cushioning shoe. So we do fit this for the running community, searching and seeking for, a really good plush ride on their foot, and obviously spending plenty of hours out on the pavement. Now, the guide rail technology. Well, when the guide rail technology landed, and we saw that in the Adrenaline GTS 19, the world thought, or the running community thought, the world had stopped spinning. It was quite controversial. However, Brooks, like all brands, they don't change something or they don't release something if they haven't done their due diligence, done their research and development, and obviously tested it themselves to go to market. The Glycerin GTS or the guide rail system on the Glycerin GTS is a byproduct of what Brooks have learnt over the last couple of seasons with this franchise, but also off the back of what they released with Adrenaline 19 back in the day. So with regards to this support system or the guide rail technology. Now, when you're looking at this shoe from the outset, it's quite, you could say, easy to suggest or easy to assume that this guide rail just is like a wall on that medial side. And this was probably the biggest surprise packet of the three shoes, to be fair. So when we open them up, you'll be able to see that this black foam on the medial side, it actually doesn't just provide a wall, it actually does camber under the medial side of your foot as well. And that is the case with regards to the positioning of that guide rail. So you get a higher wall on the medial side, so therefore you get a bit of that medial protection for your foot, but also it wouldn't be comfortable unless they did drop it underneath the shoe itself. So you can see underneath the strobel board here and inject it into that midsole. So they're not taking away any elements of cushioning with this shoe. They're just providing a smooth and seamless execution on that medial guide rail support structure. It's important to note, though, that this actual wall thickness is probably the one of a better term, I should say, but it's taking up roughly a third of that medial side of the shoe. So we've got arguably probably 2/3 of the shoe being exposed on the lateral side, which is that DNA loft cushioning system, that nitrogen-infused cushioning system, nice and soft, plenty of resilience within this midsole. But coming across through here, it doesn't go all the way to the ground, so you've still got really good cushioning underneath the total ground contact of this shoe, but that guide rail obviously sits a little bit closer to the medial side of your foot, but it doesn't run the same thickness the whole way down and then come in and across where this guide rail finishes just before your metatarsal heads. It actually does camber down ever so slightly, and we do know this from a different cutaway we have seen from Brooks with regards to the execution of that guide rail, but we just didn't know it came down that far into the midsole. What we have found probably with this shoe more than any of the other two through here is that because the DNA Loft version 3 cushioning system is a little bit firmer than the Vongo and the Kayano, they couldn't make the variance between the durometer of this guide rail and that cushioning system vastly different. So it is a relatively firm construction, that guide rail technology, as it does slip underneath the foot through here. So therefore, if it was really hard in conjunction with a slightly more responsive, firmer midsole, it would be relatively aggressive in regards to its setup. So more often than not, someone would step into this shoe and notice that guide rail technology. And I must say, that's probably what's made the guide rail a successive support system for Brooks over the last number of years, or 4 to 5 years since Adrenaline 19, was because it is a very unintrusive way of executing support. In some way, shape or form, you could say they were almost one of those market leaders with regards to this concept and also philosophy around support. So yeah, they did break some barriers, no doubt about that. But in regards to the progression of this support structure, it's been pretty similar from one model to the next. There will be subtle iterations, but we're not seeing a whole heap of change with regards to Brooks in conjunction with their support system. But who knows? Watch this space. I'm sure they're working on something right now. Last but not least, Gel Kayano 30. 3 decades of this shoe existing in the running community, high expectations, and boy have they delivered with regards to this model. So, the 4D guidance system, the first of its kind in regards to their running offering. We're seeing it rolled out now in the GT2000 franchise, but let's talk about the Kayano. So, the first thing I want to highlight before I split it in half is the biggest change with regards to this shoe is the footprint. You can see there is a lot of shoe underneath your foot. So you can shave away a little bit of that structured support ever so slightly because you've got a relatively broad foundation for the foot to sit on with regards to the entire gait cycle. Then you throw into it what they have done with their 4D support structure. So this is really exciting because it completely debunks the theory of how support has been executed over the last 3 decades. Traditionally, we would see a harder or a firmer support structure executed on the medial side. So if we're talking Asics, we're looking at Duomax or the Light Trust arch support system, where in fact this 4D technology is softer than the Flight Foam Blast Plus cushioning system. So it is softer, so therefore it actually splays out when you actually put vertical pressure on this midsole. So what it does is it naturally increases the surface area ever so slightly through mid-stance, and it does keep the foot on that lateral border ever so slightly. So by doing that, you're reducing the range of movement and reducing the velocity of movement from entry to your maximum pronation point. The same objective with every single model here, it's just executed in slightly different ways. Now, the other thing with this 4D technology is being softer, and it's really comparison to the Glycerin GTS. This technology does come all the way to the surface before it meets the outsole. So this does cover more regards to height of the actual total midsole through here. So you get a little bit more coverage, however, coming closer to the ground. So roughly half the height of that stack height through mid-stance. You can see it kicks in, but it does come all the way to the ground, which is how that 4D system works. Being closer to the ground, it allows it to splay out, increase its surface area to provide the support that the mid-stance pronator requires. Coming through to the sort of cutaway of the midsole, again, looking at the forefoot specifically, this amount of support structure, for want of a better term, requires quite a lot of outsole coverage. So you can see there is a significant amount of outsole, but a very strategically placed flex groove sort of execution to allow that foot to have that element of support as it releases out of its gait cycle. The same concept again with the Glycerin GTS in regards to filling out that outsole, offering that forefoot the support it requires, and with the New Balance Vongo, not so much outsole, but more due to the plastic plate that runs through to the forefoot. So every single shoe we've talked about here, they're trying to execute a nice rigid, supportive structure through the front half of the shoe to complement what they have achieved through mid-stance with the over-pronator. The other thing too is you can see that the actual height of the midsole is significantly higher in the Kayano, objectively looking at it from the external view of this shoe, but as we turn it to the internal look, you can see that the foot does sit underneath this medial wall and this lateral wall. The medial wall does come up a little bit higher. It is the same density on that medial side. However, you can see ever so slightly by producing that wall, naturally your foot sits inside that shoe more, therefore cradling that heel to benefit the shoe's outcome with mid-stance support. So really getting a good lockdown, a good stability section through the back half of this shoe to help that mid-stance support system do exactly what it needs to do. Okay, quick summary of all three different support systems. Inverted plate in the Vongo, fantastic execution of the support system. You can see we've cut one of those honeycomb holes in half, which is highlighted with the gap in regards to the plate construction. But that softer lateral border in the Vongo, which then cambers up to that slightly firm medial fresh foam X cushioning system. Just a really creative way of using two different densities of foam with sandwiching in that honeycomb plate to execute the optimal outcome for an overpronator. Really well done from New Balance. Coming to the Glycerin GTS. Now, in all due respect to Brooks, not a lot has happened with regards to how they have altered their guide rail technology. It's been pretty consistent, which is probably, in some respects, a really positive thing with Brooks because they've got a structure and a support system that works. Why change it? But the biggest surprise through here for me was you can see that on the medial side of this midsole, looking at this cutaway from the forefoot perspective, we've got roughly 30% of that medial side coverage in that guide rail technology, which drops underneath the foot itself. Now, it's a slightly softer foam than the DNA Loft version 3 technology, and being a little bit closer to the foot, it does provide that contoured structured support when you transition through mid-stance, and obviously cambering down to that forefoot through here, which then transitions to that obviously really stable exit out of your gait cycle. Kayano, probably the broadest of the three. Well, it is the broadest of the three with regards to the surface area. But again, a really clever way of using different foam technologies. A very soft foam, that 4D technology, but that Flight Foam Blast Plus cushioning system is the closest cushioning system to the foot. So you're getting that nice stable ride throughout the whole transition, but having that 4D tech closer to the ground, even engaging with that outsole rubber, you're going to get a little bit more coverage with regards to the splay on that medial side, which provides a wider footprint through mid-stance. Again, the whole outcome here is to provide a stable, really smooth transition throughout the whole gait cycle without feeling like there's a block or a restriction through your mid-starts phase. In my opinion, I think this is the best Kayano to date. I've said that in my previous review, and obviously I've done reviews on all these shoes, which I said before in the link below. I really like the consistency and continuity of the Glycerin franchise. I'm super excited to see what they do and develop in this space, especially with the guide rails. And I absolutely love what New Balance have done with the Vongo. For me, the Vongo is really kind of lacking something. It was a good shoe. It offered a decent amount of support in version 5, but the version 6 just is more runnable for a wider variety of runners. So I do think that every single one of these shoes through here has probably met the brief, to be completely honest. And obviously it's met the brief because all brands do spend time and effort in engineering their shoes before they're released into market. But I'm really happy when someone comes in and we need to fit a high mileage cushion shoe on someone's foot, we're going to have plenty of great options. Different executions of outcomes, of course, but very good options for you, the running community. So this is the first of this series of cut-ups we're going to do on many running shoes. We want to hear from you, the running community. Please drop us a comment in the section below. We can do individual cut-ups on shoes. We can even cut shoes through the Z-axis to see what's actually happening with regards to the medial and the lateral side of shoes. If you want to see us cut up a range of shoes, just let us know. We're here to help you guys, and hopefully you have taken something out of this that you may not have known previously, and this has been of some benefit to you. So we always appreciate subscribing, commenting, liking our videos, and yeah, as I said before, we love helping you, the running community, all over the world. Until next time, stay safe, be kind to one another. Do not try this at home, people. This is something that we like doing, but yeah, good luck, and we'll see you soon. Take care.